Karen, you absolute legend. It is so lovely to see you. It's been a while. Of course, you're best known for being one of the fantastic dancers on Strictly Come Dancing, and our paths first crossed many years ago when I was the cheeky little backstage presenter getting you involved in all sorts of mischief. I'm still getting you involved in all sorts of mischief because I want to know all about your latest challenge, this time behind the wheel of a car. Tell us, what was it all about?
It was, I mean, first of all, the wildest thing I've ever done. So it was for a show called The Switch. And so I was switching so a race car driver was teaching me how to drive a Formula E car, and I was teaching him how to dance. And so the dancing part was the easy part
yes.
for me.
You've got that nailed.
I don't know about him, but and then the whole driving aspect about it. Now, first of all, I probably, if you would have asked me a year ago, before we went into lockdown, before any of this happened, if you would have asked me, hey, do you want to go and drive a Formula E car? I would have been like, are you nuts?
Really?
Absolutely. I mean, don't get me wrong. I used to drive just a regular car back in New York. That's when, but here I didn't really have to drive here because every time, you go to the studio, you get, you're always taken everywhere you go.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity came for me to do this, it was one of those that I was like, I am totally gonna do it because first of all, I've never been out of my comfort zone. So this was the chance to try something absolutely outrageous.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people get the chance to do something like this, and especially as a woman as well. I was like, I'm going to prove everybody wrong that women can drive and they can drive anything. And one of the things that I was always joking about was that I've always loved Mario Kart. I love anything that. No, it's not the same.
Well, I was going to mention Mario Kart because you mentioned that a lot in the series.
I did.
You did.
I did, but don't get it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But now, like being inside that car and like everything that goes into it was an absolute explosion of learning, of sitting back and like taking everything in. And I guess for me, I love to learn and I love to kind of just figure things out, and I love a good challenge.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that we went through the whole lockdown and we went through everything and I've never put myself out there, this was definitely my chance to do that. And what a better place, to do it with such a high standard, and with one of those cars that, again, not a lot of people get that chance. So don't get me wrong, I was afraid.
Were you really? I'm glad to hear you say that.
I was peeing my pants. Definitely.
I love this. Because I thought you come across as so cool, calm, collected, you're mega fit, you do a lot of fitness. And I must admit, since I've signed up for Formula Woman and I can drive fast out on the road, although you're not really supposed to, I'm thinking, actually, it's very different getting behind the wheel of a racing car and actually putting your foot down to get to those incredible speeds. So it's actually making me feel a little bit better that you did feel quite scared. How did you push through that then? How did you find the whole experience?
Well, the thing is that, my coach, Alex Lynn, one of the Formula E drivers for Mahindra, he was brilliant. He was like, if you would drive a regular car, you just go around the bend. And I'm like, yeah, but this is not a regular car. It's not like I'm going to Tesco's and driving around the bend. And he's like, just accelerate. But like, you feel like you're in a lowrider as well, because you have to go all the way down. Mm-hmm. And of course I'm going out. This is an ab workout, totally. So I'm all the way down. And then you have the whole gear, and I'm a little bit claustrophobic. So you have they put me in the suit, I have the band, and then I have the helmet, and then the helmet goes over, and then you have the microphone, and then, you're all the way down, and then you have the gloves, and then the protector, and then another protector. So I'm literally, you become part of the car. Yeah. So it almost felt like what's the name of that movie where they all turn from cars into not humans, but they're like robots that turn into Transformers. I felt like I was going to become Bumblebee from the Transformers.
Oh,
so and what I loved was the fact that it's not like driving a regular car, because I felt like I had to push so hard to get to accelerate and then to brake, and then almost like knowing when to brake, and then making sure that I didn't get too close to the edge, and making sure that I accelerated at the right time. And that it was mind blowing. But when you get the hang of it, like the first 3 times that I went around, obviously first I was on the simulator, and I went through so many walls.
Easy done.
I was like the Ghostbusters, like just going through, like, and then at first when you start, because you're very excited at first, because you're like, oh my, I can drive, No, just take that ego, put it to the side, and you have to become a complete beginner. Like, and that's what I loved, that it took me back to like just basics and really listening. And it almost like once you start, getting the hang of it, you start feeling quite cool. I looked the part. At first, I looked the part. I was not the part.
No, you looked the part. You got into the part, certainly, because I absolutely loved the series. If anybody hasn't watched it, it's on YouTube and it's fantastic. Now, you talked about the racing simulator. That's the only part that I've done so far, and my head was blown. I thought it would be the same as driving a car. It's like unlearning almost how to drive a car. How did you find that? Was that the first process of training for you, or did you do any theory before that? Explain kind of how the whole process worked.
Well, so first we were in small sims. They just like arcade ones. So, that one's just like if you were playing, if you were at the arcades pretty much. So you kind of just going through, and then I had the coach there, telling me, what was nice was that it was more about taking it slow and making less mistakes rather than going fast. And like, because that's all I wanted to do at first. I was like, yeah, I know how to drive. And so it was.
Me too. I think I'm going to have a similar driving style. See, I'm just like, wallop that accelerator, get me out there.
It's almost like at first you want to show that you're not afraid of speed, but of course you're not afraid of speed because you're not moving yet. So, so the whole thing about it was, taking it slow, making sure you didn't make any mistakes, the slower the better, going around. And then, so that was the first part. Then the second one, where I actually got into the big simulator, when it's, when you're in the car, and then there's like this, you feel like you're in a theater, in a movie theater. So you have this massive screen going around you. And they were like, you might feel a bit sick in the beginning, because when it starts moving, you might start feeling a bit nauseous. And I did. So it was one of those, like, I'm not going to be nauseous. I'm a girl. I'm super. I do push-ups and pull-ups, whatever. No, I wanted to throw up. But again, it was more about, for me, just sitting there and listening and not getting ahead of myself, and listening and making sure that just taking the cues from the engineers that were talking to me, and then paying attention to what Alex was telling me. And again, it's just like making sure that I was following instructions and not getting ahead of myself, because when I started getting too comfortable, I started feeling a bit cocky. So then I started accelerating and I started making mistakes. So then once I got the hang of it, and I was like, okay, I only spent about 30 minutes in the simulator, even though I should have spent about like 3 days. I should have been there for 3 days.
Oh dear.
But then when you go into the car, that's a completely different. It's not the same anymore. It's not. It's not the same feeling at all.
On a scale of 1 to 10, then, when you got into that car, how scared were you? 10 being absolutely petrified. Where's my mum?
52.
52. Wow. Off the scale.
Off the scale. Again, and also this thing, because for me, it was like going into performance mode, So you get serious, you focus, it's about that focus and about that, making sure that you still remembering what you're being taught. And I mean, everything kind of goes out the window, So once you're in the car, the first thing that I had to remember was to brake and to push, because you forget how hard it is to accelerate. And then once that car goes, it's just like you're going, you have to brake even harder to make it stop before you start turning. So I was petrified And the first I remember, because I don't think they showed it on the series.
Oh, we've got a scoop. Go on, tell us all.
They showed all the good parts. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
But so I went down. I started, my first half, and then as I started going around, the cones were really close, and then I lost control because I overturned a little bit more. I turned too much. So then by the time that I went back to get it back to the center, I was already gone. So I kind of twisted too much, and then I spun straight into the grass, and it was hilarious. So of course I start out with a bang. I was like, you started out with a bang, and then they had to bring everybody pulling me out. They have pictures. I'll actually send you a picture of.
Yes, please do.
I'll send you a picture. This is what they did not show. And then they had to restart the car again. And the batteries is a bit, so once the car shuts down, and then it's hard to get it back on, etc. But it was really scary at the first time. And it's almost like, because the first thing you're thinking about is that you don't want to turn, you don't want to spin out of control. You don't want to crash into anything, obviously. But then once you do it, it's almost like, okay, it's done. I know how to handle it. And the second time that I lost a little bit of control, I just kind of relaxed. And then I got back on it. So the car almost kind of did it for me. It got itself back on track without me trying to force it. And also it was just the composure that I had to keep, that I couldn't panic, that I shouldn't have. I stopped not panicking, and I kind of just relaxed into the car, and I became one with it. And that's when I started enjoying it even more.
Amazing. Well, you mentioned a really good point there, because obviously your job as a professional dancer on TV in front of audiences, there's two crucial elements there that transfer really well to being a racing driver. And one is zoning everything out and being in that moment, and also physical fitness. So the mental side of it and the physical fitness. Were you still surprised at how difficult it was to adapt to that new environment in the racing world as opposed to dancing?
100%, because it's, what I'm used to is I know everything that I'm doing. I know every part of what my body is doing. Now I'm part of a machine now. So I'm usually my own machine that I'm used to. Now this other machine that I have no idea how it's going to respond to me, especially because I'm not used to it at all. So the first couple of times that I only got one chance to kind of get into it. So it wasn't like I got into the car a couple of times. So once you start adjusting, you start feeling the machine, you start feeling the edges and the wheels and where you're supposed to look. You feel how much the car weighs in a way so there's so many different things that you start adjusting to, and focusing in, because you're going in a circle, or right now I was just going like that in a circle, but when you actually start doing different tracks, you start learning the track as well. So once you kind of start the repetition aspect of it, and the consistency of it, and the structure behind it that you build, then you start adjusting much quicker. And I think that's what I probably, don't get me wrong, I'd switch jobs in a second. I would love, don't get me wrong, I love dancing, and but I would love to do it as a hobby when I'm not. When I'm not part of Strictly. So I love it. I'm definitely gonna try to find time in my schedule to go for a drive.
I love this. Well, we'll come back to that, because you can join in with the Formula Woman crew. We want you, and me and you are definitely gonna have a race. Are you up for it?
Yeah, definitely.
give me a few months to get up to speed. Boom, boom, and we'll have a race. So the physical fitness then, very quickly. In addition to obviously being super fit for your job as a dancer, I know because I follow you on Instagram, you do lots of workouts on there. You're involved in an initiative called This Girl Can. It's very much a part of your life. How did you have to adapt your training for racing though? Because you're using different parts of your body, aren't you? Talk us through how you sort of manage that.
You still go through the same training. It's more probably about agility and about eye to hand coordination as well. Okay. So a lot of we did in the series, we did a little competition, a fitness competition. So anything that gets your heart rate up, but also because you're so it's so intense when you're driving that naturally you're burning a lot of calories while you're in there, because you know everything is working at the same time. So if anything, your body's like a battery, you know, that you're constantly intact. So the more cardio that I did, it felt really good. Core, everything core. Doing any neck exercises as well. Because all the shifts that you're doing at any time, not that you actually turn your head or anything like that, but keeping your core really, really strong helped. But anything that requires total body conditioning. And there was one thing that we were playing, that we had one of our partners drop a tennis ball, and we had to catch it. Yeah, so we had to catch it. So again, the coordination, and just keeping your senses open. So everything that you had to do with agility, eye to hand coordination, balance, cardiovascularly have to be up. So as an overall, you have to be good in everything. You have to hit all the points, because even though you're sitting down there, you're not just driving sitting down. There's so much going on physically and mentally, that all senses have to be turned on at all times, because you don't know what's going to come at you at any moment.
I loved watching those physical fitness challenges that you did, because I could just see the competitiveness in your eye. When you turned up, you were like, oh, I'm going to own this. Watch out, Karen's around. I mean, was it trickier than you thought, though?
What the whole aspect of the training wise?
And the competitiveness, because what we've not mentioned actually was there was you and Alex, but you were also up against another pro dancer.
Yes.
And she had a partner, and so essentially the two of you raced one another, didn't you? So you were trained by your respective partners, and then you raced one another. And I'm not going to ruin the end, but what about that competitive streak that you had? Did you ever have to sort of rein it in sometimes? Because like you said about getting carried away and being a bit giddy and a bit excitable, I'm a bit worried about that's what's going to happen to me.
Like I wasn't really thinking so much about the other team. Okay. If anything, it was nice to see what they were doing and how they were doing. And you know, there was a couple of challenges that we won. There's a couple of challenges that we didn't win. So but it's nice for me. I don't like competitions. I don't like to go into it going, oh, I need to win. It's almost like for me, I'm already in a competition. The team that we had, for me, is thinking about competition is already putting me on edge. Yeah, and it's already it makes me nervous and gives me anxiety, like and tell me, I mean, I am on Strictly Come Dancing, but I know. So but again, I think about that as a performance. So for me, for everything is about the skill, is learning the skill, learning how to prepare yourself, and then the rest is not under my control. So there's certain things that are not under my control, so I don't have to bother thinking about it, and that's the competition side. You know, it's just opinion.
That's a good way of looking at it. Just be the best that you can, and don't think too much about what everyone else is doing, because you're right, it's such a horrid feeling, isn't it?
Exactly. And it almost like ruins the whole excitement behind it. And I don't like getting too excited. I don't like getting excited before I compete or anything like that. It's just the focus for me. I love the build up. I love the preparation, and the fact that we had to do all these physical challenges, all these, you know, going into the sims and you know, being fully suited. I wore my suit. So they gave me a whole race suit. I wore it back home. I'll send you those pictures as well. And I have it on my third floor, on one of the walls. I just have it hanging there just in case any day I just want to like put it on and go to Sainsbury's.
Yes, why not? Or someone calls you up and says, meet me on the track, it's on. Me and you.
Yeah, there you go. I kept all the sneakers. I even wear the boots. So I wear it out, and people are looking at me like, are you a race car driver? And I was like, well, yeah.
Actually, you know. Now you mention. Hey, I have to say, you look super, super badass in that racing outfit. I mean, when you put it on, did it change your mindset? Were you like, I've arrived? Bring it on.
Oh my God, it's amazing. But also, like, it's the extra. Well, funny enough, I have the socks on right now.
I love this.
I kept everything. So there's the headgear, and then you put your helmet on. I felt like, what was what is it? The Sting? Sting from
the Stig, yeah, the Stig.
The Stig.
Yeah.
Yes, I felt like, I'm just walking around and everything's like fitted to you. And I never thought that I'd enjoy being in a race car driving suit, in the whole gear. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And again, it was just comfortable, but it's part of the whole performance, the whole package.
Yeah.
Once you're in that suit, you're ready to race. You kind of just go, all right, I got everything that I need, and you're prepared from head to toe. And then once you get in the car and you grab onto that wheel, that's it. You're in it.
Yeah. Total mindset shift. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but Formula Woman, which is the competition that I'm going to be involved with and doing some of the presenting for, is open to all women as long as you've got a driver's license and you have little or no racing experience. So it's a once in a lifetime experience. It's not a single seater like you drove. What would you say to anybody who's already signed up in terms of tips and advice that you would give from your journey? Is there anything that you would have done differently, or any preparation that you think people should be doing right now before they get in the car?
Well, I'd probably say prepare yourself mentally. Mentally is a big challenge, especially don't go in it thinking about being first, or just think about the participation and preparing yourself. So if you need to start jogging a little bit, or going up and down the stairs, taking a couple of minutes to start getting your body adjusted, your muscles mentally and physically adjusted to focusing in, whether it's doing some meditation, doing some yoga, stretching, cardio, eating as well, hydrating your body. So there's so many different little aspects that you can do that will enhance your performance as well, because everything, once you feel good, everything, all you have to do is just focus. You don't have to worry about any outside things, and have fun. And I think that's one of the other things, is that I enjoyed it so much because I didn't put pressure on myself. And I wasn't like, oh my God, I have to do this. Doesn't matter. Just do what you can do on that day and enjoy it.
Absolutely. Couldn't say it better. So anybody who's watching from afar may be thinking, what's this Formula Woman thing? Being a race driver, I'm too old, I'm too this, I shouldn't do it. Oh, what about the kids? What would you say to them then? Because you've been through a similar experience.
Oh my God, just do it. What are you waiting for? You know what? Like, life throws so many different things at you. And, take a little chance, enjoy yourself, go for an adventure. It's an adventure. It's something new. And it's okay if you're a little bit afraid in the beginning, but there's nothing to be afraid, because, you have people that are around you that will prepare you, that will guide you. We're here to guide as well. So, and it's okay to feel a little bit out of your comfort zone, and then own it. Just, there's nothing wrong with going out there and trying something new. And you know what? You don't have to be good at it at first. You can slowly gather information, gather more confidence in it. And then soon enough, you'll just, you'll be beating Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, well, maybe. You never know. The other thing that I've loved about it as well is the whole community aspect of it. I don't know how much you've gotten involved in motorsport since. I know you've said you want to, so you must we'll go to some races together. It's such a nice atmosphere, and all the girls that I've met through it, the real camaraderie. There is no competition, like you said. It's just supporting each other, because I think, certainly when you get to a certain age, in terms of challenges and things that you can do as a woman, they're few and far between. I mean, this is a conversation starter. You're training to do what? It's incredible, isn't it?
No, absolutely. And that's the thing. If you can, us women, we can do anything we put our minds to. I mean, we already juggle so many things. And I think one of the main things that it's good to do something for yourself. Something that you're going to feel like you kick ass. You're going to feel, badass. It's good. You're strong, and you're holding onto a machine, and you're owning it, and you're going for it, and you're meeting amazing women that are doing the same thing. And again, it's just building more power, building more strength for one another. And yeah, and the support behind it. It's nice to be around a community that is positive, that is just urging you to do more for yourself, and to work as a team as well, because it's not just that it's just for yourself. You're all in there as a community, as a team, and you're helping each other out. What better thing to do?
Couldn't have said it better. And finally, how different was it to Mario Kart then? Now you've stepped back and you've been out there. Was it worlds apart?
I mean, I wasn't a mushroom.
No.
So I was not a mushroom. Definitely very, very different, but as fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Karen, I'll let you go. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. Dances like a goddess, drives like a badass. Karen, thank you so much for your time. And I do hope that you and I can get on the track soon and race. Deal?
We deal. I got you.
Yes! Woo!